Yo, this is Mike, Ringmaster of the Imagination Circus, and I'm here for another episode of Why I Ship It. So, this is episode 7 of Why I Ship It, and I gotta tell you, going forward, I don't think I had a few specific ships I wanted to talk about when I started this show, some of which I haven't even gotten to, and I've had to add more ships going forward because I realized if I want this series to keep going, I've got to have more ships, and because of the rules or the things I've imposed upon myself in making this particular series, I've had to really think about, well, who do I ship? Going back to some classics, okay, like this one. Well, sometimes when you ship characters, it just kind of comes about. I've said this myself before, but it just easily comes about. This time, the ship in question is one Chrome Dokuro, or something, I don't know how to say it. And Tsunayoshi Sawada. When it comes to Tsuna and his possible love interests, one, I definitely never shipped him with Makuro, which was another ship that's actually probably, if anything, I think that might actually be the strongest Tsuna ship in the entire series. If there's a stronger one and you guys are familiar with this series and know about it, because I don't know how many people who are watching this, let's be honest, I probably plucked a pretty obscure anime to talk about a ship for. Am I right or am I right? Because I let's be honest, when I watched this, the only reason I even found out about this series was because of my anime club in college. We watched the first episode and it's like, okay, I'm intrigued. I want to know what the hell happens going forward. And I got into it and I binged the entire series. And when it came to Tsuna's possible love interest, like I said, Makuro is probably the most popular ship when it comes to him, but I never really got into that one. I mean, I like Makuro, but, if I were to, his interest in Tsuna always came off as a little too creepy for me to consider them a couple. Ironic, considering my actual choice, if you think about it. But then, even discounting that, then there's, his actual possible canon love interests of Haru and Kyoko. I think I said her name right. Kyoko. It's like, did I even say that differently, or did I just say that the same way 3 times? Regardless, I never really saw it when it comes to these two. Haru came off as a little annoying. First, she hates his guts because he thinks he's endangering Lambo, or, was it Lambo or Reborn? See what I mean? I haven't rewatched it, so I don't remember. Actually, thinking about it, I was probably Reborn. But Haru always came off as a little annoying to me. She hates him at first, and then she starts to almost stalk him with her interest, and it's like he's overwhelmed because he's always had a crush on Kyoko. I keep saying, I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, but regardless, he's always had an interest in her, in Kyoko, and she seems to at least see him as a friend and nothing more, and that's really only after the events of the very first episode. But for me, those ships never really sailed either. I never really got into it. But then Chrome showed up, and she was adorable. She was kind of cute, kind of gothic this little leaf of girl. She's so skinny, it's almost terrifying, really. But she's adorable. And then we find out her backstory, and it's tragic. And if there's one thing I remember from this series, it's the backstories, because God, I know the manga's way darker than the actual anime because the manga usually is darker. Have you ever heard about the differences between the Yu-Gi-Oh manga and the anime? I'm getting off track, as usual. The point I'm trying to make is Chrome, she comes in and she almost immediately, she's coming in and I think she, immediately kisses Tsuna on the cheek, and I thought that was so cute. And they come in and this moment, and I always think, the reason I ship these two, because again, I'm not always, in my mind, it's not always obvious why I ship 2 characters together. But in this case, I think it was because they're both, it's one of those cases where they have enough in common. There are differences, obviously. They're very different people, but they're both so awkward and so kind of adorable because of it that I always kind of like the idea of them ending up together. And just their aesthetic. The character designs in this series are really good. So I like the idea, if the 2 characters look, you know what I mean? Because sometimes if 2 characters, the chemistry is what I want. But when 2 people actually look good standing next to each other, it doesn't hurt. So when it comes to these 2, this is going to be a short episode, but I very much think it was very much both a combination of the aesthetic, the right, her introduction, she kissed him on the cheek, it was all good, and she turned out to be a very interesting character. And I think the big thing that solidified it for me was their interactions in the future. Once they're inside of the compound, I think it was during the period where like Tsuna was like hurting himself during training. I know this isn't strong, but I ship these two and I've always loved it. And what I can't stand, like with so many other ships, it's not every ship that I ship, but a lot of the ships that I ship, like it's a Sally seashells by the seashore kind of situation. I keep saying ship, the ships I ship. When it comes to these two, there aren't a lot of actual like fan fictions between these two. At least not on fanfiction.net. I don't know if I've actually, now that I think about it, I didn't really use Archive of Our Own. I didn't use AO3 back when I started, like when I got into this series, so I might actually have to check, now that this is, making this video has put it back into my mind, I might have to check if there's some more fics about these two, because I really like it, and when there were fics about them, they were usually like single chapters, super short. It just, you know what I mean? Look, I'm not a big romance guy, at least not when it comes to my fiction. I am a romantic kind of guy, but I'm not super interested in at least in my mainstream media. That's what my fan fiction is for. I like the ship stuff when it comes, I only really do romantic and ship related stuff when it comes to fan fiction. And because of that, it's like, if I'm looking for ship fics, I want to find them, and the ones for these two just never stood out. They were usually short, very touching, very cute, but not really fun in the way I was looking for. They were good, don't get me wrong, but they were always kind of just there. They were like, they were very plain. They were average. They were good, but in a very average sort of way. I wanted something that stood out, something that was long-term, multiple chapters, interesting plot, as well as romance being the focus. So that was what I would like in my fan fiction, at least when it comes to my shipping fics. And I would really like to see something like that for these two. But I never found it, and that makes me sad. They just always cut me as sort of adorable and sort of fun, and the kind of couple that, I would want to be. If two people were to come together, I want to have a relationship that I think these two could have, and that they are so similar in their awkwardness, but just different enough in their who they really are, that they balance each other out. Tsuna, despite his unfortunate, his past as the Dame Tsuna, or no good Tsuna, he learned and he experienced and he matured, and Chrome had this dark, tragic history, but she found a family with the Mongolia. I think I'm saying that right. I'm probably not. I'm Italian. I can't even, and I think that's an Italian word. I can't even say it right. But the Mongolia, I think they did. I think she found a family, and I think the two of them together balance out the good and the bad together, make a really cute couple, and that's basically why I ship them. I know it's not the best. I'm not satisfied with this. Maybe I should have rewatched it, but to be fair, do I really want to sift through there are a lot of episodes of Hitman Reborn. Yeah, they never finished the adaptation, but there are a lot of episodes, so I don't want to sift through it just to express that, yeah, in the end, I don't really have the strongest reasoning for shipping them, but does anybody really? I mean, really, when it comes to shipping, how many people can say they have good reasoning when it comes to shipping two characters together? In this case, I think my reasoning is decent. I'm not going to apologize for it. When it comes to this series, this is my OTP. These are who I ship for Katekyo Hitman Reborn. And when it comes to these two, I can imagine a great scenario for their future. I don't know the exact details because I haven't read the manga, but I more or less know what's going to happen. Because I'm not big, when it comes to certain series, I don't really care about spoilers. I don't know the exact details. I don't want to know the exact details, but I do know more or less what the final plot of the manga is when it comes to Katekyo Hitman Reborn. And when it comes to these two as a possible future situation, I can imagine, them, being together and being in a relationship, and maybe, Chrome is one of Tsuna's guardians, being that she's also his lady of choice. they're like, she's at his side 24/7, protecting him, and at the same time raising their child. Because let's be honest, with his relationship, I always thought Tsuna was a little bit harsh to his dad, but but being that is the situation he was in, where he grew up not really having his dad around, I'm going to imagine that as a father, he's going to be very focused on trying to split his time evenly between, being the Vongolia Decimo. I think I'm saying that right. I think I am. But, and obviously, being a good father. And I think he can pull it off. And with someone like with the rest of his, like, familia at his side, I think he could pull it off. And if he's got a lady like Chrome, I think he could definitely do it. I think the two of them together, future, raising the next head of the family. Maybe they have a few extra kids. They could have a little bit of conflict. I'm really getting to fan fiction now. What with the concept of these two, like, having extra kids, and maybe there's a conflict because maybe one of the younger ones wants to be Decimo. Well, not Decimo, but wants to be whatever the Italian for 11 is or something. Who the 11th head of the family. You know what I mean? So whatever situation that would be like, but just having a kid raising up the next head of the Mongolia, and just kind of situations like that. And maybe sometimes it would be serious. Sometimes they'd have to deal with assassination attempts and serious mafia business. But other times it'd just be goofy shenanigans because, have you met his guardians? It's been a while since I've watched this show, and I remember their personalities and what they were like very vividly. So trust me, yeah, I know exactly what it'd be like. I know exactly what it'd be like. Let me tell you, yeah. So again, that's the kind of fun I can imagine these two having, or the kind of relationship these two having. A loving, supporting relationship. She could help him keep the stress levels low, especially if he has to deal with his other guardians and with Reborn in the future. Think about that, having to put up with Reborn, as it tends to be written in the fanfiction, but having to put up Reborn even after you've become head of your familia. That would be... Oh man, I love Reborn, but the dude, I think the way they put it in the fanfiction a lot, and possibly in the sub of I don't know if that's something that was actually taken from canon. Like I said, it's been a while, but like they were in the fanfiction, they tend to refer to Reborn as the Spartan tutor, and yeah, I can kind of see that. I can kind of understand that as a choice description for him. But regardless, it works. I think it would. And, she could help him distress. He could give her the emotional support and the love she needs. And the two of them could raise up a badass 11th head of the Vongolia Familia. Again, basically fan fiction, but that's where shipping really finds its roots. So anyway, this is Mike, Ringmaster of the Imagination Circus. And yeah, I don't know if this could have come off better if I just rewatched the series. Maybe it would have, but for me, I don't think I could have expressed my feelings when it comes to this ship any better than I already did. So, if you feel so inclined, please come back for more. This is Mike, Ringmaster of the Imagination Circus, and I thank you for visiting.